Welcome, everyone, to the Two Tongues Podcast. Consider this your invitation to join Kyle and Chris on a journey through our minds, where we explore the questions that have fascinated us for as long as we can remember. Could anarchy actually work? Does God exist? And just how did the cosmos get here anyway? Let me be the Virgil to your Dante, the Sacagawea to your Lewis and Clark. Let's take the guided tour through the dark chambers of our unconscious, seeking answers to the most important and unsettled questions of our shared existence. Ready or not, here we go.
Yeah, cowboy.
Howdy. Welcome back, one and all, to an episode of the Two Tongues Podcast, Season 5, where, guess who went to Texas?
Guess who went to Texas?
I'm wearing you remember when you, what was that crazy hat or mask or some shit? What were you wearing that one time?
It was the guitarist from Slipknot, his mask. It was the Halloween.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Mick Thompson from Slipknot's mask.
Well, I feel gimmicky like you were that day.
Yeah.
But I did go to Texas and I wanted to talk about the vacation. So I thought
rock the hat.
I would wear my tumbleweed t-shirt. I saw a real live tumbleweed while I was in Texas.
The official vegetation of Midland, Odessa.
That's where I was.
Odessa.
It's
like a Russian name, Ukrainian Russian name.
It sounds like it.
I mean, I guess it could be from other languages too, but
I don't have my headphones on like I usually do because I'm wearing this giant cowboy hat. I really need to have them on. I knew I wasn't going to wear this hat the whole time, but I think I might have to come off. Listen, guys, I just wanted to show this to you. This hat is there's a whole story to this hat. Also, like I look pretty good in it, man.
Yeah,
pretty good in it. Okay.
I was thinking how do people like I watch Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire pretty frequently.
Yep.
Well, I don't generally watch. I listen. I just put on YouTube and just I can't be watching it at work. So
you don't subscribe to the Daily Wire?
No.
Oh.
Fuck no. Why did I? Oh, because they don't have like headphones and stuff like that. I was like, how can they? But they have like whole production teams.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I answered my own question.
I haven't looked carefully to their ears to see if they have like any kind of.
Yeah, it's a good question. I watch videos and Knowles, I feel like talks to his staff a lot, and I don't hear them. So I feel like maybe he does, but I also that could just be like an editing thing too.
It
so
could be.
I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know.
Let me tell you about Texas.
Yeah, let's hear about Texas.
Let's just make that the first topic. So, okay, so it wasn't this past week, but the prior week. So we didn't record. So there's basically been a couple of weeks since this trip was over, and it was 4 days. But what was cool about it is we have a mutual friend who's from this area in West Texas near Midland, which is where what the t-shirt says. And it's the desert. And it was like, I'd never been to the desert before. So I was excited to see it. By the way, the nighttime sky in the desert,
crazy,
so beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Especially out where we were, because it's pretty far out there. Texas is a big state, and this place is far away from one of the large cities anyway, hours away from one of the large cities. So anyway, but I'm going to my friend's family's place to stay. So it's not like I'm staying in a hotel. I'm staying on a ranch.
Cattle ranch?
Cattle ranch.
Nice.
And
doing some some cowboy work. Did you do anything? Did you
the only thing, like, not really. It was just like mostly for show. But the only thing I did like that was the cowboy that runs the place. Shout out to Dusty. That's
a great name for a guy who works on a cattle ranch. Dusty.
Dude, not only is his name Dusty, but he has a giant handlebar mustache.
Oh, it's Wilford Brimley?
It's Wilford Brimley.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. And but it doesn't twist at the corners of his lips like a Victorian gentleman. It comes all the way down like a Fu Manchu and then curls.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, then curls at the chin. But he's a character. This guy is a character, and he's a cowboy. where am I going? I got so many things to tell you about Texas. I'm trying to like take you through it chronologically. So let me just hold on.
All right.
So I was telling you that we're staying on a friend's property. So this is not like a traditional vacation where I'm going to go see a part of the country I've never been and stay at a hotel and do touristy stuff. I was staying with somebody who lives there local on a fucking ranch like Yellowstone. Only it didn't look like Yellowstone. It looked, it was very interesting. It was one of the things about it that took me the most aback was just the scenery and the horizon and the way it looked, because it's just so I haven't done a lot of traveling and it's just very different from anything I've ever seen before. Well, when we landed and I was driving from the airport to the ranch, I was pretty fascinated just by looking around. I just was looking out the window and at the scenery. It's this part of West Texas. This part of Texas is the desert, and it's flat as shit.
Yeah.
It is pancake flat mostly. So as far as you can see is desert that's punctuated by basically 2 plants.
Cacti.
Prickly pear cactus is one of them. That's what you're going to see mostly low to the ground. And the rest of them are mesquite trees, like that make the delicious barbecue smoke.
Gotcha.
Mesquite trees are most of them like that. Listen, I was only there for a couple days, so I'm talking like
You're an expert now.
I know all the flora and fauna, but these trees look like a big one is like 10 feet tall.
Gotcha. Most of a desert tree.
Yeah, most of them are like 5 feet tall.
Yeah.
You know, I'm taller than them, and the branches are full of spikes. One of them went through Jessica's shoe. She was wearing like flip flops out there, and it like stabbed through her flip flop and nearly got her.
Shit.
Yeah, so that's mostly it. So I'm driving around. I can see 2 plants. That's it, man. Like the diversity is fucking limited.
Yeah. How big did the cactus get?
Most of them were probably like, you know, maybe like 2 feet off the ground would be a big one.
Yeah.
And they're like in clusters. We didn't see them like in flower, but apparently they like bloom, you know, and that's got to be pretty cool.
That sounds cool. Wonder where the like the big cactus that you see in the cartoons.
Yeah.
Where are those things?
Yeah.
Where are those
maybe
things
like
at?
maybe like Arizona.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like there was a lot of things about it that I was expecting that I didn't see, and some of the larger cactuses like you're describing I didn't see. But let me just go back to my story. Let me keep going through the story. So prickly pear cactuses and mesquite trees. And I'm looking around at the window and I'm like, this looks familiar to me, this landscape, even though I've never seen it before. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, why is it so familiar to me?
Looks like Mars.
It actually does look a little bit like Mars. It's because it is the same environment from the Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner cartoons. So I'm looking at the real life version of my childhood cartoon experience watching the Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. And that's my best description. If you remember the Looney Tunes cartoons and that landscape, this is what it looks like. Everything's brown. Apparently they grow cotton there, even though it's like, I guess it grows well even in that super dry, hostile environment.
Yeah.
And when they plow those fields, it looks like Mars, dude. It's the biggest agricultural fields you've ever seen. Now we live in Ohio. Yeah. There's lots of giant cornfields.
Big field. Yeah.
Yeah. This is bigger.
Yeah.
Everything's bigger in Texas, and it is the reddest clay it's like it's sand and clay basically, and it is red, dude. It is red. It's so weird looking. It's so alien to me.
Yeah.
Red soil. Fucking Roadrunner cartoon. That's where I am.
Growing cotton in the red soil.
Yeah.
Huh? Interesting. I didn't know they grew cotton in Texas.
Yeah, I didn't know. I learned a lot of stuff.
They got people picking it out there?
I didn't see any.
No.
The plants were not like in the soil. I couldn't see them. It was just the plowed soil.
Oh, gotcha.
All right. So then I see a Roadrunner.
Oh yeah.
It was the coolest thing, man. Now I don't remember if I ever saw a picture of the Roadrunner, like the real animal. Like maybe my only exposure to it was the cartoon, but I still recognized it when I saw it. I was like, that's a Roadrunner. So that was cool.
How big?
Oh boy, maybe it was like 18 inches tall.
It's a big bird.
Yeah, small body, thin, gangly legs. But
yeah. You would judge by the cartoon. I don't know. I guess I was gonna say you would judge by the cartoon. You would think that it was like a like the size of an ostrich, maybe a little smaller than an
like
ostrich.
the size of a turkey.
Yeah, maybe. I would guess a little bit bigger than a turkey.
They're not that big, man.
Yeah. Oh, I knew that the real bird was not that big. I'm just saying that, like, for some reason, the cartoon makes it seem a little bit bigger. Although coyotes aren't huge either.
Yeah.
You know, coyotes are pretty small.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm sure that they don't really say meep meep, but it was cool to see one. Like especially right after I was like, man, this looks just like the Roadrunner cartoon. It's like there's a Roadrunner.
Can't be sure that they don't say meep meep though. You know, I've never interacted with one.
I can't be positive.
Maybe they do say meep meep.
I did see like a lot of animals that I never saw before. I saw like some lizards that came up to the pool. That's another thing I want to say is that the old farmer, the rancher that lives there, it's like a multi-generational ranch. So it's like his parents, maybe even his grandparents.
That's awesome.
Operated the ranch. And there's like a really cool story there I can tell you. Because he went through a lot of effort to preserve like the whole family history, and he like turned their old house that they grew up in that's still on the property. They don't live there, but it's still there. He like turned it into almost like a museum where he preserved the bedrooms the way they were when they were growing up, and then the whole house has been like redone, which it looks really beautiful. And they hold like family gatherings there, like Christmas dinner and stuff. When the family gets together, they go to the old house.
Nice.
But it's like all of his dad and his grandpa's ranching, like spurs and hats and things are like up on the wall. It's like a museum for the family. It's really fucking cool, actually.
That is very cool.
Where was I going with this story?
I don't know.
So anyway, Texas.
Let me ask you something about Texas. What was the heat like?
That was another surprising thing. It was like it wasn't like deep into the hot season.
Yeah,
it was like just starting, basically. But it was probably like in the upper 70s to mid 80s most of the time we were there. But because it's flat and the way the geography is, like I don't understand. There is a constant 20-mile-an-hour breeze.
Okay,
it doesn't stop. It's constant. It's
pretty nice.
Maybe that's seasonal. Maybe like it comes and goes. But while I was there, it was constantly blowing.
Yeah, and
so it's a dry heat. So even when it was like, like maybe there was one day where it was like in the upper 80s, like it was almost 90, and we were hanging out by the pool. You wouldn't know it, man. Yeah. It was dry heat, so it wasn't humid. You weren't feeling like it was hot. I was getting burned pretty good, but then that wind is constantly cooling you off.
Yeah.
And when you're in the pool and you're wet, dude, that wind, it felt great. Like I was chilly, in fact, on occasion, but I never felt hot, really.
They had a pool there on the property.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Apart from the old house that they preserved, then they have the house they live in. They built somewhere else on the property, and I think you might describe it as like a McMansion sort of thing, but it's not like a mass-produced one like you have around here.
Yeah,
it's like the size of a McMansion. It's a nice large house with a stone, exterior. They had it custom built. They designed it and had it custom built, and it's fucking sweet. But it's like a nice house, like a rich person's house. And behind the house, they have this nice in-ground pool, and then behind the pool, there's another building that's like the pool house. And there's like a full shower in there. There's a giant bar in there, bedroom in there. It's really, really cool. And Sounds cool. That's where we got to stay, was in the pool house.
Yeah.
So it's separate from the main house where everybody else was. So we had like a privacy out there.
Nice.
And the Southern hospitality is legit. And like everybody was so nice and accommodating and sweet. The dude who I went with, his sisters both live out there. And the one of them was bringing over duck eggs.
Nice.
Quack, quack, duck eggs from her yard, because she has ducks and chickens and and so we had like farm fresh eggs in the morning.
Sweet.
But we had duck eggs, dude.
How was that?
So let's stop there for a second. Put yourself in my position. You're sat there at somebody's house. They're bringing you breakfast, and it's a duck egg. How do you respond to that? What do you, are you curious? Are you grossed out? What?
No, I would eat a duck egg without even thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, that's about my same reaction. It was goddamn delicious, dude. Every morning I was like, let's go get some breakfast. Let's go see if they have any of those duck eggs.
Nice.
So
did they more than once?
Yeah, I had them like 3 times out of the 4 days I was there.
Nice.
Apparently they're big, man. They're like probably 2.5 times the size of a chicken egg. They have really thick shells, so they're kind of hard to crack without breaking the yolk. And the yolk is like 75% of the egg. So when you crack it and you're frying it, you just have this thin white area, and it's just like mostly yolk.
How did you eat them?
So the first day, they cooked bacon, so they had like bacon fat in the pan, and they fried the eggs in the bacon fat, which is fine by me. I'm okay with that. I did not even put salt or pepper or anything on it. They were so goddamn good. One of them broke because, like I said, they're hard to crack. So it was like one of them was scrambled, two of them were fried with like over medium with the yolks. So as soon as they put that thing down in front of me, I just cut it all up with the fork. So all the yolks just soaked everything, and I just mixed it all together. So the whites, the scrambled part, and the yolks, I just mixed them all together and ate them like a savage. And dude, the yolks on the duck eggs, those things are so rich. Like I don't know how to describe it. Just richer than a duck egg, than a chicken egg, excuse me. And it was so good, dude. Like I want to find a place where I can buy duck eggs so I can have that breakfast again.
Nice. What did you have it with?
Bacon.
Just bacon?
Bacon, yeah.
Bacon and eggs, that's it?
Yep.
Nice. It's a good hearty breakfast.
Yep.
Bacon and duck eggs.
Yeah, as far as the stuff we ate there, the duck eggs, I think for me was a highlight, but we also did, they did like a barbecue, like ribs and stuff and all that, like, Texas barbecue, which was good. But we also did a crawfish boil.
Oh, nice. I love crawfish.
Oh, dude. So his mom orders them from Louisiana, and they show up in this like, dry ice sort of like cooler, styrofoam cooler, but they were still alive. So we have all of these live crawfish, and you have to like rinse them off. So like we dumped them all out on the patio, and they're like crawling around it. And my youngest was enthralled by the animals, dude. She was running around, picking them up, throwing them because they're pinching at her, Yeah. And these were good sized crayfish, man. They were probably like, some of them were like 9-10 inches long, like little lobsters. Not all of them, but they were anyway. So we were actually sorting the dead ones from the live ones, because apparently you want to cook the ones that are alive rather than the ones that have been dead. And we left them like one day longer than we should have before we opened the thing up. So like half of them died.
That sucks.
So but like seriously, my youngest what is she? 5 years old. She loved it, dude.
Yeah.
It's like she likes being chased. So these things were all just chomping at her, and her job was to pick the live ones up. And sometimes you pick one up that you think is dead and it starts chomping at you. And she loved it, man. She didn't get hurt. She loved it. She had like a real country experience out there.
Yeah.
She touched a rattlesnake.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Apparently there's like a lot of rattlesnakes in that part of Texas. And one of my buddy's sisters who lives there, apparently ever since she was a kid, like that's what she liked to do. Go hunting for fucking deadly rattlesnakes and killing them. Yeah.
She kills them?
Killed them. They would eat them, but she was also trying to like figure out how to preserve the skins, and like that was one of the things she did as a kid. I'm like, can you imagine? And they're like telling those stories like the mom and dad just say, okay, go outside, play, be safe, don't get snake bit. And that's how they phrased it, by the way. Snake bit.
Yeah.
Be careful now, don't get snake bit. You just let your kids, boy. I was paranoid the entire time that like my kids were walking in the yard or anything. I was just like, they're going to get eaten by these poisonous vipers. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely understand why you would be worried. I do feel like our parents were not that worried about us, to be honest with you. Like we were just out there.
But there wasn't any rattlesnakes. There wasn't any.
Yeah, but there's like plenty of stuff that could have happened.
Yeah, that's true.
Different dangers. We were just like out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we would sleep until whenever, and then we would wake up, and then we would walk out your front door, and then we would just like all over the place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not even saying that's bad. I'm really not. I actually don't think that there really is anything that bad about that.
There didn't seem any reason to be like worried back then for that reason, like that we were out and about
Yeah, I mean, there was plenty of reason to be worried, but people just weren't as worried, you know. Yeah, I don't know.
So anyway, the old rancher, he loved, just like I would ask him questions. I had lots of questions. Like I didn't know what plant's that? What's that? What birdie's making that song? Like I didn't know any of the stuff. So I was asking him all the questions, and it was really interesting, man. He was telling me about how there's all these like wind turbines there, because I said there's like a constant breeze.
Yeah.
They built all these wind turbines for energy production,
just killing birds left and right.
Yep.
Mother, I don't really care.
But that's also like oil country. So there's oil pumps everywhere.
Gotcha.
They do fracking all over that area.
Drill, baby, drill.
Yeah. And he was saying that like there's all these farms and ranches around where these companies will find, like a good spot for a turbine or for the pumps, gas pumps, and they'll pay them to put their equipment on their land. So they get what they call damages for having the pumps or the turbines on their land. But a lot of these places, like they have a lot of land, these ranches. So it's like you might not even see where, like from your homestead, you might not even see the pumps or the turbines. It's just off somewhere in the property. Then he said these people make so much money in damages that they don't even farm anymore. These places that used to ranch or farm, they're making so much money having this equipment on their land that they just don't have to work anymore.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, like I was dumbfounded by that.
Yeah.
And you wonder about just like the loss of production, like,
that's like however many fields full of whatever they grew that's not in the market anymore.
And paying somebody not to work sounds a lot like the problems we have with welfare, like what kind of impact's that going to have?
Some really nice welfare. That's a lot of
really nice welfare. Yeah.
I could go for that kind of welfare.
Can you imagine just, you don't have to, you don't have to work anymore.
Yeah.
And they just don't. Some of them,
I knew a person who lived somewhere in the state of Ohio who had an oil derrick on their property. I don't think they were making that kind of money. But.
Yeah. Well, this definitely, I mean, especially further east of us. I mean, that's Rockefeller oil. That's Standard Oil. That was where it started.
True.
Yeah.
Good old John D.
Yeah.
I have like mixed feelings about Rockefeller. I have mixed feelings about all those like what are they called? What was the word for all those fellows?
Tycoons, business tycoons.
Yeah, that's good, but it's not what I was thinking of. Whatever that word is. What, robber barons?
Yeah.
I think that might be what I was thinking of. It's not a very nice name,
Yeah.
Like they're like goading you into thinking that they're bad for sure with that name.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they weren't great. They didn't. Not everything they did was great.
Well, they definitely didn't call themselves that.
We're the robber barons.
Yeah, that's political spin. Even back then. That's funny, man.
Yeah. Did they call them the robber barons like back in that time, or is that like an after the fact?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
I don't know.
It's definitely a critique of them. So I guess when did they start being critiqued? So like I know when I watched that Men Who Built America show, there was that one episode about the standoff between like labor in the early days.
That show was pretty good.
It was fucking good, especially the first season of it.
That show came out a long time ago.
It did.
It's crazy.
I don't think they would make that show today because it glorifies capitalism and it glorifies like founding fathers basically.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was that one episode where they sent in the Pinkertons because there was, I can't remember if it was Carnegie's business or Rockefeller's business, or there's probably somebody yelling right now the answer. But the Pinkertons came and they like shot some of the protesters, some of the labor people that were protesting or striking or whatever, and it became like this whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why am I telling that story. Do you remember?
I don't remember.
All right. All right. Let me get back to my Texas stuff.
Oh yeah. Texas.
Yeah. So I wanted to say, there's a couple things I wanted to say. Firstly, that the cowboy Dusty, he was telling me all the stories about just all the history and his answering all my questions. And it was really, really actually awesome with the kids too. He tried to make it real fun for them. And like, we went out and fed the cows with these, they call them cow cakes because it's basically a supplement because it's so dry. The grass is pretty sparse, and that's what they're living on. So he has to supplement their feed with these cow cakes, which is, I guess it's like some kind of carbohydrate, but they like soak it in molasses so it's sweet, and the cows want to eat it, and they come out in like little chunks, and he basically just puts it in the back of like one of those industrial golf cart things. What are they called? I can't remember what they're called, like the farm equipment, but it looks like a giant golf cart.
Gotcha.
And he would just like put it in the back and just sort of like let the tailgate down and let it fall out of the truck, and the cows, they
chase him around.
Yeah, it was and he was awesome, man. He was just telling us everything you'd ever want to know about real life on a Texas ranch. But anyway, he ended up the day that we left. Like I said, he'd told me his stories, and then he took me to his to the house that they preserved for the family, and was showing me all the things, and I was just eating that up. And when the day I left, he kind of like bashfully asked me, he's like, "You wouldn't want one of my old cowboy hats, would you?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, Dusty, hell yeah!"
Nice.
So that's what that is. That's what the hat's about, and it literally has blood and sweat on it. It's like a real fucking. It's the real deal, though.
It looks like what's the word I'm looking for? Distressed is what I'm like. Artificially distressed, but it's the real deal.
It's the real deal.
It's not artificially distressed.
Pay big bucks for that. You can see like the spots where he would grab the hat with his fingers.
Yeah.
Those spots are like discolored. Anyway, it's very cool, man. Like this is a symbol of the type of vacation I had. It was it was like the real Texas experience. It was not touristy at all. It was the real deal. Like we were just part of the family while we were there. We were like getting drunk with his mom, and like I was watching Oak Island with her, and like
nice.
Just the family was coming over for barbecues. It was really cool, man. I really had a good time.
Sounds like a good time.
Yep.
You gonna wear that hat?
Yeah, any opportunity I can to wear it, I'm gonna wear it.
Like, what would you consider an opportunity to wear that hat?
Like when me and my wife first started dating, there was a summer festival in Obetz where they had live music, and it was like who was it? It was like Guns N' Roses or something. It was like one of those guys.
Gotcha.
And we all dressed up like the point is, I would have worn this hat to that event.
To that Guns N' Roses show.
Hell yeah, would have.
What? Yeah. What else? Like what would the drip be like for that kind of an event where you're rocking that hat? What else are you going with?
I picture the same outfit that I wore to this thing. Me and Jess went to the thrift store, and we literally it was just totally gimmicky for fun, but we went all out. We went to the thrift store, and I bought a shirt that I thought was like it was like a button down. It was like a country kind of a button down. And I think it might have even been a ladies one. And I cut the sleeves off of it.
What, a ladies shirt?
I think so.
So we're talking like not a flannel, but
it was kind of like a flannel. It was like
a checked kind
it was
of
like a tartan pattern or something.
Yeah.
And I cut the sleeves off, and I had like the frills hanging out. Cut the sleeves off, and it was like a size too small for me. And I think I didn't have cowboy boots, but I had like work boots on.
Was being a size too small for you like part of the look?
It was just like the best we could find at the thrift shop.
Okay.
But that was back then. I was kind of svelte anyway, so it was fine.
Yeah.
And of course, I had my pocket chain on. It was like that's the look I would have had that cowboy hat on with. Absolutely.
Right. So you're going more like I don't know. I almost want to say like white trashy kind of.
Well, we're in Ohio. There's no ranches around here. If I was going to like ride horses or be out in the sun, working or something, I would wear that for sure. Although he did say this one is felt, and so that's a winter hat. It's warmer. It's a winter hat.
Yeah.
And the one he was wearing while I was there, it was like straw.
Yeah,
it was like a straw hat.
Nice.
Yeah,
well, that's cool. Got a sweet ass hat out of the deal.
Oh, before I forget, I wanted to say. There was a couple things about being in Texas that struck me the hardest. The first one was no tall trees, no tall nothing.
Yeah.
There was
no tall nothing.
There's no tall nothing.
Yeah. No tall buildings.
No, not around us anywhere. No.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like I have this image of you being out in a place like that, just flat,
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if there was a tall building, you could see that thing from for fucking ever away.
You could see forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a couple rock formations, So like there wasn't a lot of them, but there was a couple that were nearby. They were in the vista of this house. So the positioning where they built this house is very intentional. You got this beautiful view of the desert, flat desert, but then you have these rock formations, and one of them is like it's like a mountain that has fallen apart over time. It's just like it's a rocky outcropping that sticks out, and then it's like flat on top, like a mesa. But not big ones like I imagine, or like in New Mexico and Arizona. I don't know how big it was, but in the distance, it looked like a couple of small rocky outcroppings that if I got close to them, I imagine you could probably hike up in, maybe 15 minutes. So
Gotcha.
not like a huge mountain, but it was some of that pretty stuff. Where am I going with this? Oh, so it was nothing tall, no tall trees. And that was really difficult for me because I live in Ohio and
used to seeing trees.
I'm used to seeing trees. I'm also
trees are nice too,
I'm also not used to like it being so flat. That was strange. It made the horizon look weird.
Which Ohio's pretty flat, like Ohio has a reputation for being like rolling at the most, like not really anything steep. Although down like southeastern Ohio is actually pretty,
hilly.
I would go in. You're getting down by like West Virginia, so they have like rocks and like think about like Old Man's Cave.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
there was also even though because of the flatness, I guess there was tremendous sunrises. The sunrises were really, really pretty.
That's cool.
So anyway, so the landscape was partly unsettling to me. It was like what I mean is it's hard for me to get used to. It was just strange. Like every morning, it was strange to walk outside and see it again. The other thing is the solitude.
Yeah,
it's quiet. There's no traffic noises. There's no other people.
Nice.
Like there was no other people, man. Like nothing.
That sounds really good.
Yeah, it was.
Like
it was peaceful, but it was also something unsettling about it for me.
Yeah.
Because the people were so few and far between. I felt like a strange, like fear. Like
what if I break my leg or
what if something happens? Yeah. And then I also
what was like cell service like out there?
It was decent.
So if you called 911, you'd be fine.
Apparently that didn't used to be the case, but now they have Starlink and it's great.
Fucking Elon, baby.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? I don't know.
Okay. The other thing is water. Do you remember? I want to say it might have been like the Karate Kid movie with Jaden Smith. It might have been that one where the guy's trying to take a shower and the water like turns off automatically in China.
Yeah.
That was like my first exposure of any kind of like water preservation or control. Like it's such a foreign idea to me.
Yeah.
But where I was
because we believe in freedom here.
Where I was in the desert, water is hard to come by. They have underground sources of water. That's where they pump out the water.
Yeah.
In fact, that's actually, it's not the ranch that I don't think anyway, that made this family wealthy. It was the part of the business they have where they they build wells for water. And they use that for fracking, but they use that for irrigation. They use it for, drinking. So
groundwater.
Yeah. It's what do they call it? Groundwater. They call it, damn, there's a word for it. Anyway.
Pumping.
Anyway, I learned that they intentionally kill the mesquite trees that I was telling you about.
I thought you were going to say mosquitoes. I was like, awesome.
And there was like none of that, man. It was too dry.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Nice.
And then they have this stuff called bear grass, and it looks like a little yucca plant, basically. But apparently, it's really fibrous and sharp, and like you could stab yourself on one of the leaves. And the cows will go around grazing, and they can get injured on them.
Oh yeah.
So they kill them, but not because they're dangerous. Although that's an issue, because they absorb water. They take water out of the ground.
They'd be drinking.
So they literally go and what they call grub it. They grub it. They spray it, they kill it, the plants, then they go back and they rip them out of the ground. And they do it every season because those plants take so much of the water away from the grass that if you leave them be, you won't have enough grass for the cattle. So they have all these like ways of trying to preserve the water and direct it to what they want to use it for.
Yeah.
And I've never seen any of that. And it's so important there. They have like little walls that they'll build. They'll just like pile up dirt or sand or something because the water, the ground is so hard and dry that when it rains, whatever little rain they get or dew they get, it will not soak into the ground. It's like the ground's baked like clay. So when it rains, the water just runs off down into the river and away it goes. And they need every bit of that water they can. So they build these walls so that when it rains, the water can't rush down into the valleys. It gets blocked by the walls. And that allows them to sit long enough to actually penetrate into the ground so they can use it. Gotcha. So there was all these different ways that they were being careful with water. And I just, it's totally foreign to me, just that you'd have to worry. I live 20 feet from one of the largest freshwater bodies of water in the world.
Yeah.
It's just a strange thing, man.
Yeah. It's funny I don't know. It's just funny the conversation with, because I actually am not really going to be able to remember any of these facts, but I just went down a little bit of a rabbit hole reading about the Great Lakes just like a couple of days ago. It's pretty. Oh, I already told you I won't. I can't. I really can't remember any of it, but it's interesting. It's like just like a huge percentage of the fresh water on the planet. Although there is one lake in Russia. Yeah. It's some kind of an ancient lake in Siberia that is more than all of the Great Lakes combined.
It's crazy.
It's like super deep. It's the deepest lake in the world.
Well, I lived in Ohio my whole life, and I had no idea that there's a giant industrial salt mine underneath Lake Erie.
Yeah. I remember when we came up here to move, and you came, we were 14 when I moved up here, and you came up and helped and like stayed for 2 weeks. And when we went to Lake Erie, you saw it. You were like, "It's the ocean."
Yeah.
So,
dude,
it's surprisingly big.
Dude, it's astonishing. Like if you've never seen the ocean, seeing Lake Erie is pretty much anywhere you encounter Lake Erie. It's water as far as you can see in every direction. It looks like the way the ocean looks when you encounter it. It's amazing.
Yeah. But then you see the ocean, and you're like, okay,
the lake's a little bit of a bullshit. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like when it's windy and there's and there's waves out on the lake, and even when when that happens and the waves are crashing into the there's not a beach obviously, but you can hear the waves crashing like you can in the ocean. It's impressive, man.
Yeah. There is something there. It is impressive. There is something different about the ocean though. Like I went down to Florida a few years ago. What city was it? It was on the Gulf Coast.
Oh, never been.
I can't remember what the name of the city was.
St. Petersburg?
No, it was like, I can't remember. But anyways, it was one of those cities, one of those like beach cities on the Gulf Coast, and just like the vastness of it is definitely different than Lake Erie.
Gorgeous.
But Lake Erie is crazy. It's really impressive. Have you been to any of the other Great Lakes?
Yeah, I've been to Lake Michigan. Then when I go to see my sister in New York, she's on, was that Superior?
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Superior maybe it's Superior, but I think New York's over here and Superior is like,
yeah, I can't.
Whichever
lake it is. I've been in a couple of them.
I figured I was going to say something about going to the lakes, but
yeah.
You ever go to Niagara Falls?
I've never been, man, and there's really no excuse for that. It's not really that far of a drive for us to go, but I have heard that if you go, you want to go on the Canadian side.
I went to the American side. It was pretty fucking cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for us to annex Canada, then I'll go.
I honestly really don't understand why it's cooler on the Canadian side. Well,
I just heard it's more beautiful. Like it's better to view the lake from that side.
Yeah, I don't really. That's what I'm saying. I don't really understand why, because it's fucking beautiful. Like, I mean, I'm trying to think of like what the advantage would be to being over on that side. Now, one thing I could see is like the actual like city being nicer.
Yeah.
Because
that could be
that Niagara where it is, it's not really that nice. It's kind of shitty, really.
Yeah, like
it's not like terrible, but it's not really nice.
Yeah, like most tourist places are like that, and that's I mean, that's got to be a huge tourist place, Niagara.
Yeah, for sure. But no, the falls are incredible. The river that leads to the falls is fucking incredible. Like it's crazy that the water is just like moving like that all the time. You know, it just like never really stops rushing like crazy, you know.
They must have hydroelectric stuff there, right? Yeah,
they do. And they actually do. They can affect the flow of it too, but
you'd be stupid not to have that just covered in turbines, you know, for the hydroelectricity.
You can hear it for like when you're nowhere near it. You can just hear the rushing of the river and the falls. It's pretty sweet.
You didn't do Maid of the Mist, did you? Where you go down on the boat? Oh, you did?
Yeah.
What was that like?
It's pretty cool.
Did you
get wet? Yeah, for sure. You're soaking wet.
How close do you get to the falls?
You're in them.
Really?
Yeah, you're like basically. I mean, you're not like literally directly underneath, but you know,
I got to do that.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I would definitely recommend doing it. It's a wait. You're gonna be waiting in line.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was an okay trip. Going to the falls was great. Everything else was okay. You know.
Last thing about Texas that I wanted to touch on.
The hotel was nice too.
I was talking about the solitude, and one of the like counterpoints to the solitude is like if you wanted to, you could not see anybody for until you ran out of food. Like if you wanted to, you could stay isolated there, but because there's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go. Like there's nowhere to go. The people they seem like they spend a lot of time together, like the families and stuff. Yeah. So, and you know, maybe it's because we were there and they were like doing more like, you know, cookouts and stuff than they normally would. But it was like, you know, the sisters and the brother-in-law and people were just constantly coming over. And I don't know, man, something about that is appealing. It's like you have to rely on each other, and you don't have as many distractions, so you value people more because like there's nothing else to do. Something about that seems good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unless you're surrounded by a bunch of assholes. Imagine that.
There is like significant poverty there too. Yeah. Somebody was talking about the crackheads that live across the street, and you're like in what maybe would you qualify as like a subdivision for there. So like a lot of like a cluster of houses in one little area, and you look across the street and it's like a couple of trailers, you know, and it's like they used to live in this trailer and something must have happened to it. So they pulled another trailer so they have like an abandoned trailer sitting next to the trailer where they live. My point is there's those people that are making enough money from the freaking oil pumps on their property that they don't have to work. And other people who are living really, you know,
living rough. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. It's America, baby. That's America for you.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
I discovered my ASMR.
Your ASMR?
Yep.
What does that mean?
Well, we've talked about ASMR before, but for the people who maybe don't have any idea what I'm talking about, so when that phenomenon first happened, it was sort of like an auditory thing where people.
Let's get some ASMR right now.
Oh yeah, here we go. Here's some. See if this makes you feel warm and tingly. Oh,
pretty shitty ASMR.
So, all right. Well, some people have certain sounds or certain visual cues or whatever that they enjoy, that they find particularly satisfying. Or I don't know if that's a good way of describing it, but nowadays there's all kinds of videos of different things like that. Like the one that my daughter likes to watch is this soap. They cut this soap and it's colorful, and they like take little. Anyway, I found mine. Started watching.
Oh, you're actually into one of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I found one that works for me.
All right.
People in the early days described feeling like.
Let me try to guess what it is.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But say what you were gonna say.
Oh, in the early days, people would describe like I said, a certain auditory sensation or visual sensation that made them. They described it as like some sort of a pleasant feeling that we don't have a word for. That's kind of how it was originally introduced. But then to me, it started to become more like something that people find particularly satisfying. And it could be the way something sounds or the way something looks or whatever. And I found one that I could just sit there and watch forever.
Tickles your pickle.
Yeah. Go ahead and guess.
So is it more of a sound thing, or is there like a visual element? Do you need to be watching something for the full satisfaction of it?
It's primarily visual.
It's primarily visual.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could watch it on mute and it would work for me. Yeah.
Shit.
That threw a wrench in there.
Yeah, I thought for sure it was going to be like an auditory kind of a thing. I was thinking like pages turning in a book, like just like real quiet and like just that but that's nothing like that. It's not an auditory thing so much. You could not hear it and it would still be satisfying.
Yeah.
Is it like extruding a funnel cake into a fryer or something like that?
No.
Nowhere in that ballpark.
No.
Is it an extrusion kind of a thing?
What do you mean by that?
So like if you if you have like one of those like a Play-Doh thing and you push it and like it comes out.
It's not that.
It's nothing like that.
No.
Is it the cutting the soap thing?
No.
All right, what is it?
This dude that mows terrible lawns.
Yeah.
And makes them look really sharp.
Yeah.
It's the before and after. It's watching the whole process. So now I'm expanding because there's a bunch of this. So there's like time-lapse restoration of antiques, or landscaping, or like before and afters of like repairing an old barn or something.
You seem like the guys that do the power washing.
I have not fucked around with power washing videos yet.
It's pretty good. They're pretty satisfying.
Yeah.
I feel like it's scratching the same itch that you're getting there.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of kind of stuff like that too. I have waves with it. Like sometimes I watch more of it than others.
I get that.
See now, like what you're describing with the mowing of the lawn and like the power washing kind of videos, and I watch videos of like people who clean gutters and shit like that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would classify that as ASMR.
Listen, like you couldn't classify it as ASMR by the definition that was the early definition. But if I'm just saying something that I could watch and gives me this particular satisfaction, then yes, in that way, it qualifies, I think, for me.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I watched this one today. I'll just tell you about it. And I have another thing I want to tell you about. This one was somebody found, I think this was in Russia. Somebody found this old sewing machine. It was like 150 years old. It was rusted to shit. It was sitting on this wooden platform that was like falling apart. And this guy just takes it apart.
Yeah.
And that's a whole process because it's a complicated mechanism, but everything's rusted shut. So he's like wire brushing it to get the rust off. He's putting WD-40 on things, and then he's using like what do they call that? Impact drills to like pull things off. And there's a couple of instances where things are stripped, and he has to like heat them up, and he gets it all apart. All the little screws, everything apart, and he like sandblasts it and makes it look beautiful. But what was nuts to me was that he polished and cleaned everything to new, including every screw that he took out. And if something was like wrong, that was fucked up, he couldn't reuse it, he would fix it so he could use all the original shit. And then he like greases everything together, and he puts it all back together, and it was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And even that wooden platform that I thought, no way was he going to be able to fucking keep this thing.
Yeah.
He ends up like getting rid of the wood he can't keep, fixing it, gluing it back together, polishing it up, sanding it down. He even shows him using like sawdust in the little cracks to fill it all in. Like this dude was like a jack of all trades, impressive man shit. And it was just incredible to watch how much work went into it, and then it all coming back together. And I was just like, it was like a fucking orgasm at the end. I'm like, I could get into this, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I watch a lot of that kind of stuff. I am still wrestling with calling it ASMR though.
As long as you understand why I am calling it ASMR, then I got no beef with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just hooked on the sound thing. Like in my mind, ASMR has always got like that sound element.
Is there any particular sound that you find satisfying?
No, I hate ASMR. Like I'm kind of like anti-ASMR in general.
Listen, this is a sexy comment I'm going to make, but listen, I could listen to the moans of a woman.
Yeah, okay.
I could listen to the lady noises. I could listen to that all day. I find that particularly satisfying. It's a lovely sound, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Beautiful ladies making noises.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like it can be a bit much, you know?
Oh, I don't want a production. They need to be authentic noises.
Yeah.
I can tell if you're putting on a show.
You sure?
Maybe not.
Maybe not. I like how you conceded to it so quick. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I can.
Yeah. Yep.
That's fucking funny, man. What were we talking about? How did we get there?
We were talking
ASMR.
ASMR, yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of like anti-ASMR. It annoys the shit out of me. I like watching cooking content. I watch a lot of cooking content on YouTube.
Yeah.
And a lot of long form cooking content. I like that's like my main shit, you know.
What does that mean, long form cooking content?
So it's like I mean, it just means any video that's like, I don't know, 10 minutes plus of like a person.
This isn't like a 3-hour Rogan podcast about cooking. Okay.
So yeah, I would say generally like 15, 20 minutes is kind of like generally, and it's somebody who's either like showing how to make a dish or just like talking about like an ingredient, like the properties of an ingredient, things like that. But I do watch like short form, you know, like the shorts, you know, where you like swipe up and down. Yeah. Each video is like maybe a minute long. And a lot of that is kind of ASMR oriented, where they do a lot of like very fast editing cuts and like it's all
sizzling.
Yeah, exactly. All the sizzling of the pans and like the chopping of the stuff.
Yeah.
It's very annoying. I don't know why, it just grates my nerves. Pisses me off, man.
If you have any like recommendations along this, like a particular channel,
for what?
For the long form stuff that you like about cooking, because I think my wife would eat that shit up.
I've told you her both names before.
Well,
yeah,
text it to me or something. Yeah. Sure. That you guys could definitely bond over that. She's getting more and more into that stuff. She like part of all this gardening she's been doing is that she wants to like grow her own shit to cook with.
Yeah.
And like this year we had asparagus, because when you plant asparagus, you don't get asparagus the first year. You plant it, then you have to wait a year or maybe 2 before you get the shoots. This spring we had a bunch of shoots. So now she was out there, you know, with like our own asparagus that she was eating raw, putting in her salad and shit like that. She's getting really into it.
Nice.
Anyway, I think you guys could definitely connect over some of that shit. What we do watch together on YouTube is foraging, because there's a little overlap between her interests and my interests. I, as you know, love the idea of treasure hunting. It doesn't matter what it is, if it's watching Oak Island, if it's metal detecting in the yard, but foraging is another form of treasure hunting. So, something about the idea of going out in the spring and hunting for morels, or if I knew what plants were edible and where I might find them, to go through the forest seeking like a quest to go and find the fucking turkey tail mushrooms, or to find the fucking whatever they are. What do they call those little banana things? Pawpaws. They have pawpaw trees in Ohio here, which is a fruit that's indigenous and nobody even knows about it. And when you get it ripe, it tastes like a fucking banana.
Nice.
Pawpaw. Point is, something about that is an overlap between her love of gardening and culinary stuff and my love of treasure hunting.
So you guys are just watching dorks walk around the woods.
It's like foraging, but it's also people who cook with the forage stuff.
Gotcha.
And they're talking, like you said, about the properties. Like, this is a tuber that nobody eats anymore, but they used to, in the Middle Ages, they ate a shit ton of this tuber, and this is what it tastes like. And, you know, preparation techniques. One of them is this. I don't know if you've ever seen the lotus blossoms that will grow in like the ponds and shit. And they have like these long stems that go all the way down to the murky soil, but they basically come up and then they have those lily pads and they'll open up into these beautiful flowers. Apparently, there's really only one variety that grows here, and when it blooms, the flower it almost looks like a weird, like zoomed in version of a sunflower.
Mm.
You know, all the little sunflower seeds are in that big round pod. Imagine you blow that up so where the pods are like as big as dimes, where the seed is.
Gotcha.
And those seeds are like the size of like, you know, like kind of like big hazelnuts maybe. They're of similar size. They're round and they're in little pods. Well, apparently they're delicious and they're like super nutritious and nobody eats them anymore. But like the Native Americans ate them. You know, it was a staple of their diet that lived here.
What area is this?
Right here.
Oh, here. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I missed that.
So she has some in water upstairs
Interesting.
that are germinating right now. She wants to grow them.
Nice.
I
That's
love
cool.
it, man. I love that she's doing that. It's like artistic for her, and she loves it.
Yep. There's a lot of good shit on YouTube. A lot of interesting things.
I'm finding myself. I was a latecomer to YouTube, as you know. If I had to search a video, like a movie trailer or something, I would go on YouTube, but I wasn't watching it like I would watch Netflix or TV.
Yeah.
And you know, you obviously adopted that early on, and you were like, "Fuck TV," and I hate commercials, so I'm slowly coming around to YouTube.
YouTube ain't much fucking better anymore, man.
Yeah. I rarely have to wait more than like 20 seconds to skip a commercial, which I appreciate. So I've been watching a lot more YouTube. I can't remember where I was going with this story anymore, but
I don't know.
Raw YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. I mean, you know, I got my.
Oh, I know what I was going to say.
My beefs with YouTube. But
you know, like if you get a new streaming service and you're like excited for a while, you have all this new content that you didn't have and all these different options you didn't used to have. But then after a while, it's just the same as all the other fucking streaming services that at least for me, it's like, there's nothing good on, you know?
Yeah.
That's how I'm starting to feel about YouTube now. It's like, I got to find a new path to go down because I'm exploring the same paths so much. I'm like getting bored of even YouTube.
Yeah.
I got to figure out a new angle.
Yeah, that happens, you know. That happens. It's helpful to have something else to switch to for a little while.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
first world problems, Kyle.
First world problems. So you got anything else? You got anything else about Texas, or are we done with Texas?
Yeah, I think we're done with Texas. Right. But you have something?
No, I mean, I got things that we can talk about, but I don't know.
Well, I guess
got like a list.
I do have a list. But there's one thing in particular. I just want to make sure that I want to talk to you about. But I don't want to necessarily hog all of the topics. So
what do you want to talk about?
All right. So the guy I went to Texas with, he has some interesting hobbies. He's got like a 3D printer at home and he prints shit with it. And he like, have you seen those things? Those people will take they'll make like a table out of a piece of wood that has like a crack in it and they'll fill it up. Yeah. They'll fill it up with like resin and stuff. He does that kind of shit. Like he's got all these hobbies. But was big into aquariums and fish and stuff, but he was also big into terrariums. So all these different hobbies. So lately he's been building, rather than aquariums, he's been building terrariums. Mm-hmm. So he got one that's fucking dope. Stop me if I told you this. It's a giant globe. It's probably like 2 feet diameter, maybe. Diameter. And it's, so he bought it. It's like somebody designed it. It's really cool looking. And he builds it. So he puts like whatever like drainage he wants to have. He like builds that with stones and whatever. And then he like brings in whatever plants he wants. And so he's got like different kinds of moss and lichen that are growing. And then he's got like ferns and it looks like a little mystical forest that he's created in here. And it's got an atomizer and a water supply and lights. So you have this giant globe, which looks like a little mini forest.
Mm-hmm.
And every now and then the atomizer will come on and it'll just mist, slow fucking waves of mist falling out of the ceiling onto the plants and stuff. And it's just really cool. It looks like something out like a little miniature Lord of the Rings set is what it looks like. Well, now he has 3 of them. So he took a 20-gallon tank and he's building one. He's building a large one. And I don't know if you remember, but I had like this little fairy garden thing I bought for the girls, and in the tree in the back, it had like a little hobbit-hole door, and they would go out there, and I would tell them that the first fairies living there or whatever, and they thought that was cool for a while. Then they didn't care anymore. So I gave that little hobbit-hole door to him because he's a Lord of the Rings fan. Well, he immediately incorporates it into one of his terrariums, and it looks cool. But then we got to talking about how to make it look more cool. And he's got this 20-gallon one that it's like a clean slate and it's big. He can do whatever he wants with it. So check out what he's going to do. He's going to, right now, the little hobbit-hole door is just on the back wall of one of the terrariums. So you can see it when you look through. It looks cool, but it doesn't look like a real hobbit hole. It just looks like it's just there, almost as decoration. So what he's going to do is he's going to 3D print this this crescent-shaped shell. And then that's going to give him a place where he can hide the pumps and components that he needs for this. So he's going to put this shell down. He's going to put the hobbit-hole door in the front. He's going to have a little porthole cut into the side. He's going to have actual soil built up over the top. And the roof is going to have like moss growing on it. So it looks just like a hobbit hole. And he's going to have a little chimney built in. So that atomizer that I was telling you has that smoke that falls down. He's going to have that inside the hobbit hole. So when it turns on, it lights up. So the little porthole window is going to light up like there's a hobbit turning the light switch on, and the atomizer is going to come out of the chimney. The smoke is going to come out of the chimney.
It's pretty cool.
Fucking cool is that, man?
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I got excited about it. I was like, let's build this fucking right now. Let's build this.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a pretty cool hobby to have. Terrariums.
If you saw it, dude, you'd be like, that looks like a mystical forest from Lord of the Rings. Yeah. He has little, like I said, he picks and chooses the plants he puts in there. But he found Venus flytraps, and that's cool. So he put a Venus flytrap in there, and it's doing really well. Then he bought, this guy, he bought praying mantis eggs, right? They show up in the mail. It's like in a little jar with a little sack on a stick. It looks like a cocoon. And when we were in Texas, they hatched. And then when he came home, there was like all these tiny little imagine these little miniature, like half-inch tall mantises. They're going to get bigger, but right now
hopefully not that big. What you just did with your hands. They're going to get bigger.
You know how big a mantis is.
Yeah,
so he ends up putting a bunch of them inside his terrariums. And you can see these little ninja guys walking around inside his terrariums now.
Sweet.
And then he feeds them with fruit flies. So he takes this little container of fruit flies and he opens it up and he just like taps a couple hundred fruit flies and he pulls it out and closes it. And then you just see the Venus flytrap and the mantis is hunting for flies. And it's fun to watch, dude. I was super excited. I was like, this is dope. This is a hobby I could get into.
You going to build a terrarium?
A little fucking praying mantis ninja hidden enchanted forest.
Where are you going to put it?
Dude, I couldn't do it, but I like the idea of the giant globe one that he has. I like the idea of having a giant one that hangs suspended from the ceiling like a fucking like the chandelier in your house.
I wonder if you could do one in your like back room.
For sure.
I just wonder if it would be too cold in the winter.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that would be a cool spot for one. But
I told him, I was like, I want to see pictures as you're building this thing. I want to see it.
That's pretty cool. From what I understand, you can get those to where they reach some kind of like homeostasis where you really don't have to do much to them.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was like really deliberate about it. There's certain insects that if you include them in your terrarium, they will break down the dead leaves and things. You don't even have to like clean it. You just let it
mulches itself.
It just does it itself. Yeah. I think they're like potato bugs that you put roly-polies in there, and it's fucking cool, man.
You can raise roly-polies.
Raise them?
Yeah, you can like
Teach them arithmetic.
Exactly. Teach them to be Christian. Teach them your ways. But no, you can like farm them, I guess. They're like a useful bug to have around.
Interesting. That's another thing, man. You know those koi, like the Asian koi. When I was
Those are some expensive ass fish, man.
Are they?
Oh yeah.
When I was in Texas, one of the things that they have in Texas is basically these giant. They look like giant swimming pools, especially from the sky. They look like giant swimming pools. It's almost like somebody put a giant tarp. They dug a pit. They put a giant tarp in it, and it's got like a wall around it.
Yeah.
And they basically keep water in there. It's like it lies low in the ground, so it doesn't evaporate. But they need that for the cows and like irrigation and stuff. So they have these things everywhere. Well, apparently it's filthy. It's fucking stagnant water. It's filthy. But if you put koi in there, they clean it up. So like the farmers are always looking for koi so they can keep their still water clean.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if all koi are expensive, but I know that koi can be very expensive. So
yeah, well, dirt fish.
Yeah.
Can't even eat them, Kyle.
They're pretty.
They are pretty. And I guess if they, if they're bottom feeders and keep it clean, there's a use for them.
Yep. I forget what I was going to say. I felt like it was something. I felt like I was going back to Texas for a minute, but I can't remember what it was.
I had Whataburger in Texas.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Really good, man.
Yeah,
I got like a double Whataburger. The guy, like I said, that's from Texas, he was raving about it, and that's a fast food joint that we don't have here. So I was like, yeah, let's try it. And
we used to have it.
We did?
Oh no. I think it was Fat Burger that we had.
I don't even remember Fat Burger.
It was Fat Burger or Whataburger. It was one of those two.
Yeah, Whataburger's legit, man. It's like, I think Wendy's has a good burger, and it's for fast food burgers. And Whataburger's was right up there. It was good.
Yeah. One of the people that I watch on YouTube, his name is Joshua Weissman, and he is one of them cooking fellers. He does cooking videos.
Sure.
Actually, a lot of his videos anymore are, I ate every fast food sandwich in the United States, and now I'm rating them. He does a lot of that kind of stuff now.
Gotcha.
But I forget what
you were telling me about a fucking guy eating burgers.
I know, but why did I bring him up?
Where's the breadcrumb trail?
Forget.
Think about it.
I don't know. I completely forget why I brought that guy up.
Let's see. What did I write down to talk to you about, Kyle? Oh, I saw Kevin Nealon do stand-up last night.
Nice.
Me and the wife bought tickets to see him. Louis C.K. is going to be there in a couple of weeks.
Just a local comedy club.
Yeah, I think it was Hilarities, right? I think it was Hilarities.
I don't know.
If you've never been there, it's a nice little spot. It was sold out to see Kevin Nealon. Louis C.K. will be there, and I think Jim Norton is going to be there in a little while. But that's where we saw the guy from the League, Kevin from the League. What's his name?
Guy who lied about being in 9/11.
That's the one.
Steve Renassisi.
Yeah, we saw him do stand up there.
Nice.
We saw Tom Green do stand up there.
Nice. I like Steve Renassisi. I don't mean to cast shade with the 9/11, but he did do that.
Yeah,
he fucking did that.
So Kevin Nealon, he kind of had like a repeating line that he kept doing, which was getting laughs like consistently the entire night.
Yeah.
But he kind of opens with it. He comes out and he says something like almost like he's like midway through a sentence that we didn't hear the beginning of, and he's like, he's going to tell us about something. He's like, you're not going to believe this. I'm going to tell you this one thing, then I got to go. he's like, he just walked out to do his opener. Then I got to go, and he would drop that line in like over and over and over again throughout the night. Really funny, man. But before we saw Kevin Nealon, we went to a sushi joint it was like way too expensive. I'll never eat there again. Food was fine. There was a couple things actually were damn good, but it was like way too expensive and it just not worth it.
Right there downtown.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I would say the name of it, but I'm not trying to like.
Yeah.
Anyway, the sushi chef, there was a couple of them, but the one that was standing in front of us, when he was a white feller, So not the kind of guy I particularly trust cutting my sushi, but also young. So he's probably like 20.
Yeah. How much time you spent in Japan?
I know, that's the thing. And he had like a fucking Mr. Miyagi thing wrapped around his head, and I wasn't buying it. And
this guy's not Japanese.
No,
this guy's not fucking Japanese. You're not fooling me with your little headband.
There's no way out. There's no way. Listen, I might eat something that he prepares, but I'm not going to eat. What's that puffer fish called that can kill you? There's no way I'm trusting that dude.
Naguru.
That's okay.
That's
sure.
The one.
I know. What
Naguru.
What made it? What made it really weird was he kept like talking to himself. This kid is like talking seemingly to no one, and
like mumbling to himself, or like really talking.
Like he was talking.
Yeah.
And I think, like, is he talking to the other chef? It doesn't seem like it. He's like pointed the other direction. Then at some point I realize
this guy's retarded.
He's got his phone up on a tripod.
Oh man.
And
young people be doing that, man.
He's TikToking his whole shift, dude. This fucking white guy is trying to prepare sushi for me on TikTok. And people came in and were like recognizing him.
The TikTok
guy.
The white TikTok sushi guy.
It feels to me like this guy is fucking got multiple personality disorder making my food, because I had no idea that he was doing a TikTok. He's just talking to himself, pacing back and forth.
Yeah.
It was fucked up. Like, I cannot imagine my boss in any circumstance letting me live stream my job.
It's fucking.
It was annoying to me as a patron, and it was a $350 dinner.
I bet.
I mean, fuck directly off, Sushi Jack.
Are you sure that it was going to social media, or could he just have been on like a video call?
I'm almost positive it was She Was TikTok.
Why do you say that?
Because it was constant. It didn't stop. It wasn't like he was on a call that ended. He did it the entire hour we were there.
Dude, that's why I'm asking, is because I work in a metal shop, and some of the people who work there will be on their phones in a metal shop all fucking day long.
What, having a chat?
Talking to their family. I mean, most of them are Puerto Ricans or Mexicans, and they're like, they're on the phone with their families from out of town, yeah, like literally all day. Like the headphones have noise canceling stuff, so like it's not really that big of an issue.
Yeah.
Boy. Yeah, it's a thing.
It's a crazy world we live in.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it was social media either, but that's that like video call all day while you're at work is a thing. It used to be a thing with like foreigners only,
Yeah.
Like foreigners would come, the Indians driving the Ubers and whatnot. They'd be on their phones.
They'd have a little earpiece in.
Yeah, with their people back home all day long.
Talking in a foreign language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Annoying people. But that was what was happening. But now it's like black people do it all the time. A bunch of the black people that I've worked with, it's like they like set up the phone so that the people who are working or that they're talking to can like watch them working while they're working and talking to them.
I'm baffled, man.
It's so fucking weird, man. I don't like anybody enough to be on the phone with them all day long. Like when I'm on the phone, or I'm sorry, when I'm at work, I am generally listening to a podcast or a YouTube video or music, something to like make me a little less miserable,
Yeah.
But I guess maybe that's what these people on the phone do for these people, but that's fucking weird to me. Every day,
it's like some codependent shit to a level that I can't understand.
It's very weird.
I can't get through my workday without like having a FaceTime call with you for 8 hours. It's fucking weird. But this dude was definitely streaming, I think.
Yeah.
His job.
People trying to blow up, man. People trying to get the clicks, the views.
This guy comes in, he sits down next to us, and he's like,
this fucking white ninja.
He's
turtle.
like, yeah, I moved here a couple of years ago from California, and I just can't find any good sushi here. And so I found out about you guys, and it was just like, you pretentious fuck.
That's the guy who was making the sushi?
No, this was another Patreon. Everything everything about it was pretentious. It wasn't that good. Although I did have that uni or whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about?
Uniaga. That's it.
What animal is it?
It's an exotic eel.
It might have been that. It was fucking delicious. One of those things I had was
it slimy?
It looked spongy, but it tasted delicious.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Spongy.
It's weird when I eat that kind of thing. When I eat a dish from a restaurant from a country whose food I'm not familiar with, when I literally cannot identify what it is I'm eating.
Yeah.
Where I'm like
You're
more
still just sucking it down.
way more open-minded about it, right? Because it's like I don't know if I should be grossed out by this because I don't know what it is, and I'm like, that was delicious.
Thank God. Yeah. I'll never forget when we went to have sushi the first time. Me, you, and my aunt.
Yeah.
And you put this one kind of sushi in your mouth, and you said that it had the consistency of cum.
Yeah. I still have moments. I remember that. I still have moments where the consistency of the fish, when my teeth sink into it, there's some flip getting switched in my brain that's like, reverse the gears. This has got to come out.
Coming out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't really have not a whole lot of stuff is that kind of triggering for me. Like that I'm just gonna be like, I gotta get this out of my mouth right this second.
Yeah.
If something is giving me that kind of reaction, it's like I accidentally put shit in my mouth or something, like I accidentally put something like really fucking gross in my mouth.
What about those like fermented eggs, like the 100-year-old eggs?
I never had one. I would try it though.
Yeah.
I would probably feel that way.
They got this thing in the Philippines. I can't remember what it's called. Yes.
Yeah, it's
balut.
it's like fertilized.
Fertilized.
So there's actually a chicken in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they hard boil it. And
I don't know why I know that. I don't know why. I know that's right. That's what it's
I'm
called.
impressed that you came up with that because
I don't know.
What do you know about Filipino cuisine?
Nothing. That's it. That's the extent of my Filipino cuisine.
Would you have any issues jumping into a balut?
I would definitely be apprehensive, but I would probably give it a shot.
I'd give it a shot. If there was feathers on the inside of the egg,
that's going to be a bit much.
Or if like, do you think the bones are crunchy in that situation? Like,
it's a good question, man.
Man, I'll eat bones. I don't care, but
it's a bunch of savages in the rest of the world, man. They'll crunch on some bones. They don't give a fuck.
Dude, one of my favorites is tell me if this is weird because maybe it is. When the chicken wings get particularly crispy, especially the flat part of the wing, the tip of the wing, when I'm eating that wing, I will on purpose, I'll crunch off the bones, the tip of the bones, because when they're overcooked, they just turn into this sort of crunchy. So I just kind of eat some of the bones. You ever do that? You ever eat
swallow it?
Yeah, on purpose.
I don't know. I mean,
just me then. Okay.
I don't know if it's the bone that I'm eating. I definitely know I definitely know that like crunchy bit at the end that you're talking about there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, man.
If I bite it and it just crumbles in my mouth, I'm gonna eat that bone.
Yeah,
and that's probably fine. I hope nobody clips that phrase out there. I'm gonna eat that bone.
I'm gonna eat that bone. Yeah, I mean, the real danger with eating chicken bones and stuff like that is that the shards are gonna cut the interior.
Yeah,
but I feel like if it's that crumbly, it's not cutting shit.
It's not cutting shit.
It's dull.
Yeah.
Damn, man, we're into this thing.
Yeah,
quite a bit already. Have you had your ear to the ground on the internet
about
keeping up with current events at all?
Well, I have some of that here, but something specific?
Yeah. Well, we didn't really get to talk about that kid who got stabbed, Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony. In Texas. Did that happen? We didn't really get to talk about that. But now, have you seen the new development in that?
No.
You didn't see the lady in, I think it was New York, Rochester, New York. It was definitely Rochester. I know there might be multiple Rochesters, so I don't know. Yeah. I think it was Rochester, New York. This lady was at the park with her kid, You haven't heard anything about this?
I think I might have. This is the one was like the Ethiopian kid.
Yeah.
And she calls him the N-word.
Yeah.
Tell me the story because I didn't read it.
So it's this woman whose name is Shiloh Hendricks, and she's at the park with her kid. He's a little baby, you know.
Yeah.
He looks like he can probably like walk by himself and stuff, but he's like a very young kid. She's at the park, and she sees this little black kid in her diaper bag, purse,
geez.
whatever.
Yeah.
And so she, you know, tells the kid to get out of the diaper bag, and in that altercation, she calls the kid the N-word.
Okay.
And people are pretty upset about it.
Yeah.
You know, like this Ethiopian or Nigerian or some guy from Africa.
Yeah.
You know, he was there at the park, and he was like, it was pretty funny. He was like, did you call the child? I'm just gonna say it. He said, did you call the child the nigger word? The nigger word. So that was pretty funny. That alone was pretty fucking funny. And she doubled down. She was like, yeah. And she was like, how come you won't? He was like, how come you won't say it now? Like implying that she wouldn't say it to him. And she laid it out there 5 more times for him.
Oh shit.
Gave
On
him
camera?
gave him the finger. And he was like,
boy.
oh, we'll see how the internet feels about that. And then that, you know, he uploaded it to the internet, and it's definitely gone viral. And she started a give, send, go thing because they doxed her. Like they put her address and her social security number and her phone number and the address of her gym and like the address of her kids' schools and shit like that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So she started a give, send, go, and she's raised $500,000 fucking dollars.
Wow.
So yeah, people are upset about it.
What people?
What people do you think? What people do you think are upset about it? Gay, liberal, white people are definitely upset about it. Mm-hmm. Although I would be willing to go out on a limb and say fewer than ever before. Like, I think that one thing that this whole ordeal is showing me is that white people are like kind of fed up. Like, we just don't give a fuck anymore. I think that a big part of why she raised so much money is like a response to that Carmelo Anthony kid raising about the same amount of money.
Yeah.
She raised a little bit more. But yeah, it was just like a middle finger because, like, yes, I know that kid Carmelo Anthony has not been declared guilty yet. But basically the only doubt that I have that he will be found guilty is if like some retarded thing happens, because I don't really understand how he's not guilty unless they like release video footage and like something just drastically different from what was described initially happened.
Yep.
I don't understand how he's innocent.
Yeah, it seems that way to me too. And that one was, I remember when they showed the dude's house. He's already rich. He's already rich.
Yeah.
He has a rich family with a fucking mansion.
Yeah. So yeah, I do think that like this woman making a bunch of money, it's like a response to that. It's like just a middle finger.
The pendulum swinging back the other direction.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
do think some pushback is necessary. Just I don't know like how to say it. Well, it's okay.
Well, you don't have to like make up rhetoric. I'm just talking about pushback against who. Like, where is it?
Anti-whiteness.
Oh, pushing back. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. I thought you were going to say something like, I don't think it's good to call 5-year-old autistic people the N-word.
Oh, is an autistic kid?
That's what they say.
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah.
You know,
spin.
Also, the kid didn't look 5 to me. The kid looked tall as fuck. So, I mean, I know kids can be tall, but the kid didn't look 5 to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely think that pushback. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's deserved. There needs to be some of it. And I definitely think we're getting towards it because, like I said, people seem pretty fed up.
Yeah, I don't want to defend a lady using a racial slur against an autistic kid. I don't want to do that.
I do.
But what I do want to say is, if you were aware of a racial slur, or it doesn't even have to be a racial slur, any kind of generalization about a group that's negative, stereotype, and something happens to you where you feel like that stereotype is coming to fruition. That is the one moment when even a reasonable person is tempted to say that slur. Like if you thought a black kid was stealing from your purse, if you're ever going to say the N-word, that's the time you're going to say it. It's like you're living out a stereotype.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call you the stereotype. I'm not making excuses for it. I'm just saying that if you were ever going to say it in a situation, if I was in traffic and I get sideswiped, when I have the right of way by an Asian woman,
by Ling Ling, if Ling Ling sideswipes you on the freeway,
all I'm saying is that's the moment when you might expect that word to be said.
Just pops out again.
And if you were fucking and in the heat of the moment, that's the one moment when maybe you get a pass. But when that lady says it 5 more times to the guy's face,
fuck. See, now that where this is unsurprisingly, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I already said it, so I'm not going to say it because I don't want our channel to get in trouble. And apparently, you can get away with saying it, but you just don't want to overdo it.
Okay.
So I'm not going to say it again, but it's just a fucking word.
Yep.
It's just a word, and white people can say it, and black people can say it, and Asian people can say it. And this idea that if I say a word that you get to beat the shit out of me, or you get to ruin my life because I said a word, go fuck yourself. I'm going to get myself in trouble.
No, this is an interesting conversation because I don't know, and maybe this exists in a culture that I'm not familiar with. I don't know of any other culture that has a word so taboo that to say it justifies violence and anything under the sun.
Yeah.
I can't think of any word you could call a white person or an Asian person or an Aboriginal person or a Native American person or any person.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those kinds of words.
There sure is.
So, I mean, again, I'm not going to say any of these, but for a Chinese person, you could call them a word that rhymes with mink,
You could.
And it's not a nice thing to do, but they're not going to freak out.
No.
Most likely they're not going to melt down. If they're maybe if they're Americanized and they're very liberal, maybe they might. But for the most part, people don't care. So this situation in the park, if it was the other way around and a little white boy was in going through some black woman's diaper bag, and that black lady was like, "Get your little crack ass out of my diaper bag." Nobody would care.
Nope, they wouldn't care.
Even the white people at the park might be like, really?
Yeah.
But nobody's gonna make a big deal about it.
I think that's the important point, is that the white people wouldn't be offended by my kid being called a cracker, other than the abruptness and the loudness and the rudeness of doing that. Yeah. There would not be any heightened level of injury that we feel because somebody called my kid a cracker.
Yeah.
And even some Vietnam veteran saying what you just said, that word rhymes with mink, to an Asian person with the most venom in their voice and behind their eyes that you've ever seen in your life, right to your face. Even that wouldn't have the injury of the N-word. And I find that to be fascinating. Because it doesn't seem to, because if it doesn't apply in any other situation, what that implies is that it's not the person trying to give the insult that is raising the temperature, but the person hearing it and taking offense by it.
Yeah.
So, at that point you have to blame black people for choosing to take such offense over the word.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah. You have to say, grow the fuck up.
Grow up. Who cares?
Yeah. It's I can't think of anything. The closest thing that I can think of would be, and it's not the same thing at all. It's like much different. But it's, like I said, the closest thing that I can think of is like Holocaust things with Jewish people. Now, Jewish people are not, most of the time, not going to beat you up.
No.
Because that's just not the way that Jewish people are. Now, the Jewish people might sick the ADL on you and try to like ruin your life and get you fired. And like that kind of stuff happens a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you could call a Jewish person, a Jewish person, that word that rhyme, it kind of sounds like kite, you know?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Call them that word. And like, yeah, they might, I mean, they're Jewish, so they're probably going to be offended. But they're not going to attack you. They're not going to escalate it to a physical situation. They might sue you. They might find a way to fucking sue you somehow. But have you seen some of the responses that from Black people to this?
No, what are they saying?
This one lady was saying, she was like encouraging people to find her and attack her and kill her, and said that she was going to find her grave and piss on it when she was dead.
Wow. That level of rage is not even logical.
Yeah.
It's not natural. The only way to create that level of reaction to the N-word is to teach your kids to feel that way.
Yeah.
The way that this is, I don't know how you feel about this analogy, but the way that Israelis and Palestinians are taught to hate each other, like from the time they're children, like that's the only way you can get that reaction, right? It's the only way. It has to be an indoctrination that is ingrained in you for your entire life.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's the thing with racism. I have different feelings about racism than I have my entire life. Racism, I feel like we, the millennial generation, were the least racist generation of, all time.
Agreed. Yeah.
And I feel like, honestly, you know how like there's this thing of like every generation in America, what's the word I'm looking for? The quality of life has gotten better and better and better until now. And now it's like, maybe we're going to start going back in the other direction.
Yep.
That's exactly the same thing that happened with racism.
Yeah.
It's like I was raised to believe that everyone was exactly the same, and that, just like situations were different and people were people, and there was literally no difference.
Yep.
And I believed that for a long time. But now I don't believe that anymore. And I don't believe that anymore because Black people took advantage of that. Like, they have, it's like we decided to change culture and stop being racist slowly but surely throughout our history. And when it got to the point where they're equal, they're like, okay, now we want revenge.
Yeah.
It's like, there's this culture, like what made me think about that was you talking about raising. It's because they're raised to hate us.
Yeah.
Like 100% Black. A lot of Black people hate white people. That's the truth.
No, I think so.
It's the fact of the matter.
I think that's true. I don't know to what degree it is, but I think that's certainly true. There's no way that we would have this level of this ratcheting up of race conflict and hatred that we're seeing today.
Yeah.
If innocent little children weren't being told that white man's holding you down, he's a monster, he's a villain, you're a victim. If that wasn't being ingrained into them, and that was fucking PBS and mothers and fathers and grandmothers and the people doing that on purpose to innocent children.
White people haven't been doing that for generations. White people have been like weaning that out of the population, Not anymore. It's not gonna keep going that way. And it's Black people's fault. They've ruined it. They dropped the ball on their end, and now 100% that's going to change.
See, I there's part of what you're saying I agree with. The resistance I have is that you probably smirk at this, but it's not all black people, just like it's not all, all Muslims are terrorists.
Though.
I think that there's a certain type of survival strategy. It's a parasitic strategy that some people, it's easier. It's the easier strategy, so some people gravitate towards that. And when the opportunity was created by good meaning people trying to even the odds, level the playing field, mea culpa, whatever you want to say, some people saw that as an opportunity to be a parasite, to take advantage. And the thing is, man, once it works for one person, 2 people, 12 people, then you're sitting around seeing other people benefiting from something that you could benefit from. Like I'm just a upstanding, moral black person in this community of black people, and I'm seeing some start to take advantage. And then at some point, I feel like I'm missing out. And I'm not saying everybody falls victim to that, but that is a natural human tendency. Then you start questioning your own judgment and your own morals. Should I make a different decision? Should I miss out? And then some people make bad decisions, and now it's not just a few bad eggs. Now it's 20% of the population, and when it's 20% of the population, you get a bunch more envy and other people jumping on the train. It's like, how long can you see your uncle live on disability and be totally fine and live off the government? And how long can you see your sister and your aunt refuse to get married to their baby daddy because of all the government benefits they're getting, and not have to work and drive a better car than you? How long can you sit there and grind every day doing the right thing before you fucking file disability, and do all the things everyone else? Then you have cultural collapse. You have this parasitic cultural collapse.
I get what you're saying, but you started it out by with the it's not all black people thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess what I'm saying is it only takes a couple of bad eggs to start this
it only takes larger. A couple of bad eggs before all the eggs are bad.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm with you. I don't think it's all black people. But I think it's a lot of them, to be honest with you. And I'm not even saying that I think it's all of them. I'm not saying that I think all black people are lazy and trying to take advantage, although a lot of them clearly fucking are. But I'm not saying that all black people are like that, or even most black people are like that. Though I think, I don't know, maybe that is true. But what I'm saying is a black person who is hardworking and motivated can very easily and probably still does hate white people, 100%. Yeah. I would say maybe even more so.
I think to your point, that's more true today than it was when we were kids.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that there was no shortage of it back when we were kids either. I really don't. I think that the race relations in America have gotten steadily worse since Obama. They really started hammering the race shit with Obama.
Yeah.
But I don't think that things were great before either. When we were living down in Columbus, things were not great, no. There was definitely tension, you could easily find yourself in a bad situation by crossing the wrong street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's been bad for a long time.
We lived in a poor neighborhood in the inner city when we were young. And the truth of the matter is there weren't very many white families in the neighborhood or in the school system at all.
Yeah. And the ones who were there had been there for a long time. Yep. White people were not moving to this neighborhood.
No, But our families, socioeconomically, were the same as all of the black families living. We were poor, living in the same size house, going to the same schools.
Yeah, because if we could have afforded being somewhere else, we fucking would have.
Yeah, well, I don't remember ever having any conflict that I thought was racially motivated when I lived there.
Yeah. I definitely remember tension with like kids at school
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, I never really got in any fights when I was, because when we were there, I was, I mean, we were young. We were very
That's
young.
the thing. We were young.
But like your brother, on the other hand, who is a little bit older, has like a lot of memories of, you know, getting into scraps and whatnot.
He had a very different experience than we did. That's for sure.
Yeah.
My brother was scared for me to go to the middle school that he went to. And was right. In retrospect, he was right to be scared.
Yeah.
Like he saw me as like ill-prepared.
Soft.
Yeah. And he was fucking right, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to go to schools. Like that's my point. Like this is gonna sound like super, it's gonna sound racist, you know? This is gonna sound racist, and there's really just no way around it. But white people pay more to do things like live places and like go to nice fancy restaurants and go places where things are more expensive in general because Black people aren't there. Like, I mean, that's like, why do you think people don't, like, if property is really, really cheap, property taxes are super low in like certain areas, it's like, man, I could buy a place there and it'd be very cheap to buy a place here. Why don't people do that?
Because it's dangerous, and your kids aren't going to get a good education. Yeah. I can't argue with you, Kyle.
I mean, I didn't think that you would, but like,
I don't want to be explicit about what I'm not arguing about, but I'm not arguing with you about it.
Yeah.
It was unsafe where we lived for the reasons that you're implying. And I won't say anymore.
And that's the area we lived and in the area where we lived, where, you know, the variable that we're talking about, all of that variable was natural born to that area. Now, this like situation with this Shiloh Hendricks girl, that person is from like Nigeria or something like that, you know? So it's like even more like you shouldn't even fucking be here, you know? Like honestly, it would be a little bit better if it was just, you know, Jaquarius.
You know, I'm gonna feel a tiny bit of sympathy right now for the African visitor to the United States. I don't know, like
the one in the park.
Well, I don't know the details, so if that person was like legally here or not, or what have you. But imagine you are legally here in the United States, and you're from like West Africa or something.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I've worked with dudes from West Africa. I worked at the warehouse. Were hard work with them, and they were always very polite. They were always very kind, and they were hard workers. And all the stereotypes are broken by their example. I couldn't say anything bad about them. The dudes I worked with were great dudes. But kind of imagine being that, like being like a conservative person who understands the value of hard work because you've worked hard your whole life, and you come to the United States for an opportunity or a better life or whatever, and suddenly you are facing racism that let's say is warranted, right, for the people that look like you, that live in that area. And you don't have any of the blame, right? You're not a violent person. You haven't participated in any of these things that have created the stigmas around the Black people that live in that particular area. But you have to suffer all of the stereotypes, consequences for it. Like I also feel for that, man. Like, you know,
I don't care.
If all the Black dudes that live in your neighborhood are gangbangers and are dangerous to be around, and you cross the street to avoid them, and all this stuff. And you can't keep any small businesses in business in your neighborhood because these teenagers are robbing you constantly, and you going out of business, and you can never get all these things, right? And you move into this neighborhood and you're not even guilty of it, but everyone treats you like you are, you know? But I think there's a parallel there between these KKK people that I fucking never met, that seem to have existed maybe at some point, who they went extinct in the 1970s or something, because I fucking never met one. But I'm somehow guilty just because I'm white, right? I'm guilty of all the sins of my ancestors, in that regard. There's a parallel there too.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't feel bad, particularly for this particular person, because first of all, if you're at the park and your kid, if the kid was 5, which is I'm skeptical about because the kid did not look fucking 5. The kid looked old enough to know better than to go rooting around in somebody else's bag. Okay. Yeah. But let's say that the kid is 5. I can understand being upset about that. I can understand being like, no, I can't even really understand being upset, but I can understand being like, really, like you're talking shit to a kid. He's 5, like he's just rooting around. Just tell, like, hey, that's not yours, buddy. You know,
right?
But the fact that when he found out that happened, he got all bent out of shape and pulled out his phone and started recording and was like, we're going to ruin your life because of this.
Yeah.
Fuck that person.
Yep.
Ship that motherfucker back to Nigeria or Ghana or wherever the fuck he came from. Get him out of here. He's a piece of shit. Based on that alone.
Yeah.
He's one of these like emotional blacks who like melts down at the sound, a couple of syllables being uttered together. He but I don't even believe that he's really upset about it. He saw an opportunity and was like, I'm going to record this and put it online.
It could very well be
100%. Yeah. That's what it is.
I would agree. I think somebody who thinks that it's justifiable, that it's like, what's the word they keep using for in Gaza about the level of retaliation being appropriate for the
yeah, I don't know what the word you're talking about is,
but you get the gist. Yeah. It's like the idea that the father, the Nigerian guy, Ethiopian guy, or whatever it was, thought that it was justifiable to remedy the curse word that this lady just said to his son, that it was appropriate to ruin her life. That's not a reciprocal level. That's not an appropriate response. That is an overreaction. And I'm sure that guy feels absolutely no guilt about that. You know, it's like you're going to go right for the jugular. You know, somebody kicks the back of your foot accidentally. You chop their hand off. It's like, whoa, you know, you want to ruin their life?
Yeah.
I'm not defending the nasty thing the lady said, but I think that that is a severe overreaction that does not take into an account the appropriate level of response. And it sounds quite honestly like an evil person. Like an evil person is somebody who takes joy out of doing damage to somebody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know that him doing this is driven by joy of it. You know, like I think that it's like a thirst for, like what happened with her. Like he was hoping maybe I can make some money out of this. Someone called my kid the N-word. Maybe I can like find a way to cash in on that. You know, I fully believe that that's what's going on.
You don't think it was just like relishing in having the power to squash her like that? So harshly?
Well, yeah, I think that that's a part of it too. But just like the climate that we live in, you know, like if you're going to squash someone like that, if you have the power to squash someone like that, you might as well try to like leverage it to your advantage in whatever way you can too, you know? Like that's how I think that all of these people think about all of these things, to be honest with you. And a lot of people are like criticizing that girl Shiloh because she set up that Give Send Go account. They're like, oh, she's just trying to make money. And if that's what she was doing, she did a good job of it.
Yeah.
But like the idea that she had her address, like, I mean, we've been talking about like the idea that somebody might like find her house and actually do something to her is not crazy to me at all.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So, no, like the idea that she felt like she needed to move and get out of that, like, makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
I find no criticism of her starting that Give Send Go at all. It makes total sense to me. I think that the reason she got so much money has just been like that middle finger back for the whole Carmelo Anthony thing.
I think that's the most significant part of the story. The fact that she raised as much money she did because ultimately those are white people who decided to do that out of spite, like you just said, in reaction to Carmelo Anthony. But what it also says is that white people are so sick and tired of this one-sided, narrative, that they're now willing to sacrifice their own treasure just to make a point. And there's some part of me that wants to nod my head that along with that, but it also sounds like a dangerous sign. It's like if white people are willing to push back against this racial narrative with their treasure, with their fortune, to help this nobody out, like, what does that mean for the next BLM situation? What does that mean for the next Rodney King situation? Something like this is going to happen. And I don't think that people are going to react the same way. That there is I
think that this Carmelo Anthony situation might be that situation. If this goes to trial and Carmelo Anthony gets declared guilty and goes to prison for years, I fully expect there to be like I said earlier in the podcast, I don't understand how that trial is going to go any other way than that. Unless there's like some funny, like, white guilt business going on, which is totally fucking possible.
Yeah.
But if things are fair, I don't understand how that's not the outcome. And yeah, I could totally see things blowing up about that.
There were a couple of stories. A couple of stories that go along with this that are in the news right now. One of them is the governor of Illinois. Did you see that speech? His name is J.B. Pritzker.
I don't know the speech you're talking about, but I know who J.B. Pritzker is.
He said something like he's never called for protests or riots before, but he is now.
He's calling for him against Trump, obviously.
Yeah, he says, don't give Republicans a moment of peace. So that's one, because it's coming from such a high-profile guy. I mean, a governor of Illinois, right? You remember Chicago was in Illinois. That's like the reason why New York and the governor of New York is so significant is because New York is New York. Well, that's a high-profile governor like Newsom in California. This is a high-profile governor in Illinois. And he's saying, he's basically calling for violence against Republicans in general. And then secondly, there was a story about, I don't know if you saw this one, a lady named Joanna St. Germain. She was a high school teacher in a place called Waterville. I don't know if that's here or somewhere else, but and on her Facebook, she calls for the assassination of Trump. She says that the Secret Service agents have an obligation to assassinate Trump. So she's in trouble for that. That was a news story. But the point is, you're seeing calls for violence against Trump specifically, but also against white people.
Yeah.
And certainly against white culture. And it's literally, this isn't figurative. It is literally becoming calls for violence. And I think that is scary, dude.
It is scary. There's
like how many white people are going to take that kind of injury before white people start feeling like we're being attacked as a group?
I think it's already happening. I think it's already happening. I think you're going to have holdouts. You're going to have a bunch of people who are very liberal and like refuse to admit the truth to themselves. Like, that's the thing about with these racial arguments. If you're the type of person who values science and statistics and studies and stuff like that, if that's the kind of stuff you value, I can get them for you, baby. Like, for being such a sensitive issue in culture, there is no lack of evidence that lays out that particularly young black men are extremely violent. They commit like the vast majority of the crime in the country. Yeah, I mean, so like, if that's the kind of thing you value, then fine. But I'm not going to say that I don't value that kind of stuff, but I value like my experience a lot more than I value that kind of stuff. And I think that most people who have not been completely sheltered from like black culture don't particularly enjoy it. Now, it's not to say that like young people don't enjoy like aspects of Black culture, like rap music and things like that. But no white person wants to be taken and dropped off in East Cleveland. Like nobody is comfortable with that, you know? So, and people might be like nervous to admit why they don't want to be there, but everybody really knows, you know?
Well, I outlined it a minute ago when I was talking about how when you have people that are poor, they're already a certain level of desperate that other people aren't. When you take away the fathers from the homes and you don't have the discipline and you don't have the boundaries, and then you have kids from the age of 12 to 25, which are, boys of, it doesn't matter what color you are, you're aggressive. You've got all kinds of motivations that, status seeking and sexual and otherwise that make you a fucking predator of some form or other. And then you, like I said, take away all of the law enforcement, take away the discipline, the father figures, and you let them loose, seeking status and success and reproductive opportunities. What do you expect to happen? Then you end up with the gang violence and all this stuff that people talk about. And one of the things I said earlier is that you destroy the local economy that way. It's like, why is it that CVSs are closing, east of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard?
Yeah.
Why is it that I have to now have a lower quality of life? I have to go 12 blocks to get diapers now.
What's really funny about that is that Black people will bitch about that, and they'll say that they only ever put Black people in the areas that there's a food desert. It's like there's no shopping centers. You got to go way out of the way to go to a shop. I wonder why.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Why is he? That's the thing, man. It's like I can't start a small business like a local pub, and they're everywhere here. And what makes this part of town so fantastic is there's all these eateries and places to go, and it's like it's an attraction. You can't have that in a certain part of town because you can't. I can't even feel safe parking my car on the street.
Yep.
And how do you fix that? You fix that with fathers and law enforcement and a culture that reinforces good fucking behavior. You can't let these people do whatever they want. Somebody's got to smack their fucking bottoms, and it has to happen young. It has to make a lasting impression. And we've destroyed, I don't know who we is, but
it's mostly boomers at this point.
There's no way to improve. You can't gentrify away. You cannot improve a neighborhood like that without the cooperation of the people who live there.
Yeah, but if gentrification, that's like a bad thing, Like if you move into an area that is particularly...
Sorry, we're out of beers.
If you move into an area that is like a Black area and you want to like make it nicer, that's bad, which is fucking crazy.
What kind of progressive liberal NPR assholes came up with that idea?
I don't know. But if it's the other way, if you live in an area that's bad with a lot of Black people and you're like, I gotta move out of this place, that's called white flight.
It's so fucking stupid. Like, imagine
it's all bad.
This is probably going to come off as racist to some people, but I'm just trying to imagine like any kind of a business that could only flourish, that gives a unique opportunity for Black people in a Black community to prosper. There was one spot in Columbus I used to drive by on the way to work. It was a sweet potato pie. It was like Mama Mary's. It was like some kind of old grandma, and she had a sweet potato pie shop. And
sounds racist.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I can't say anything at all with it. But the windows the windows were iron barred shut.
Oh yeah,
and boarded up windows and shit like that.
That's how you know the area is good.
And then it's out of business. Like imagine if everyone felt safe going to East Cleveland, and that was the only place in town where you could find a fucking sweet potato pie baked with rum, like a delicious Southern thing this Black culture has a unique opportunity to provide, and it could draw people in. But I can't go there because I'm going to get robbed, or I can't go there because when I go back to my car, my rims are going to be gone, or whatever it is. It's like,
or the place goes out of business because
the place will go out of business.
100%.
Or what about you have like a salon where people could go because if you went to school with black people, you'll know this. If not, if you haven't, you won't. But when we would drive to and from school on the bus, one of the things the black girls would do would braid each other's hair. They would give the dudes cornrows, or if they wanted them, and it was like this whole thing. Like they were really good at it, and but white people can't do that. That's a skill we don't have. What happens if it was fashionable to have those sorts of braids, and white people could go to the black community, to the salon, and have their hair did, right? But even that's not allowed because that's cultural appropriation. These fucking liberals have robbed black people of the ability to market any of their culture or skills because it's racist to do so. Yeah. Like, how do you expect these black communities to thrive when they're not allowed, they're not able to offer anything safely and constructively, with the people around them?
It's a good question. You'd think it's weird that it's like that because black culture used to be, and I mean, to some degree it still is to my great distaste. But black culture used to be like, we would, the idea was that we stole everything. Everything good about America was stolen from black people, And I mean, yeah, like rock and roll music, most forms of pop music, have like some kind of, it's derivative of like some kind of African-American music. A lot of it, like some of it is not, but most of the like popular stuff is. It's got some kind of root in black music.
Yep.
And just like black people, like they had a huge influence on culture,
Huge.
And I guess they still do. It's just rap and shit now. I mean, this might be controversial, but like did we steal black music for rock and roll and all the like different branches of rock music now? Like, did we steal it? I don't know. I guess you could say that. I guess if you really are trying to be a dick, I guess you could say that we stole it. But I'll say this. I think that we made it better. I think that like, I'm not like, I like Chuck Berry, there's nothing wrong with the old black rock star. Who's the gay dude who played the piano?
Elton John?
No, a different gay guy that played the piano. The black guy, Little Richard.
Little Richard, yeah.
He was awesome. Little Richard is fucking awesome.
Dude, Little Richard, man.
But I will say that I like Led Zeppelin more than I like Little Richard. And Elvis was very derivative of black people, but I'm not gonna lie, I think that Elvis did it a little bit better. I think that he just dialed it up a little bit.
I think trying to make it illegal to be influenced by other people is the fucking most retarded thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Like, to make it a racist issue that I like something that you've done artistically that I want to adopt to my own. Like, human beings have been exchanging culturally with each other forever. That's what makes us human. To suddenly say if you're a certain color, you're not allowed to be influenced by that. That is the most racist shit I ever heard in my life.
It's so weird too, because like there's this idea, this modern idea that we need to be this melting pot, that we need to, all the cultures need to mix together. There's no such thing as nations anymore. We're mixing all this shit up. But the cultures inside of that melting pot aren't allowed to influence each other. It's like you have to live amongst them, but you have to do all of the shit that, your people do. Unless they're like white people, and then the white people doing the stuff that the old white people did is like racist again. You're like celebrating colonialism or whatever the fuck.
So stupid.
We're moving past this shit. Like, especially here in America. I don't know. I have been kind of black. I know we're getting towards time here, but I've definitely been like blackpilling a little bit with like Trump and shit like that. I just feel like nothing is really happening, And a lot of it I don't think is really Trump's fault. Some of it is Trump's fault, but a lot of it is not his fault because Trump doesn't choose Congress. Congress are a bunch of fucking bums, man.
Yeah.
They have done nothing. Yeah. They have not passed any fucking bills. Trump laid out all of this stuff, all of these executive orders that they could turn into actual fucking laws, and they're not doing any of it, man.
I haven't heard.
They're fucking worthless.
Yeah.
I'm like kind of like not spiraling out about it, but I just like, I'm starting to wonder, like, are we allowed to have changes? Like, are we allowed to have any kind of real changes, or is this just always going to be some kind of mechanism for them to prevent it.
Yeah, it's a good point, because you see the obstruction from the left, like the politicians that are speaking out about Trump's policies and all that. But you're right. I have seen hide nor hair of any Republican introducing a bill or talking about, making any of this stuff permanent. I haven't seen a fucking shred of that.
Dude, if we lose, okay, so you got the midterms coming up. I kind of expect that we will lose the midterms. And then after that, we're going to have another presidential election. If we lose that presidential election, we cannot lose that presidential election. If we lose that presidential election, I truly do not believe that we will ever get it back. It's not an option to lose. You glean whatever you want from that.
Yeah.
But whatever you glean, if it's something crazy, I fucking mean it. I've said before, let's go Bukele. We cannot, things are dire in this country.
Yep.
And if we just continue allowing these people like Biden did for 4 years, we can't handle that anymore. We're going to reach the point of no return.
Yeah. Yeah. You hope that the enthusiasm and the momentum that we've developed as conservatives, we kind of hope that doesn't slow down, because it kind of feels like it's starting to run into friction, and it's, this is a precarious moment where it could go either way.
There's a lot of fucked up shit happening too, man. It's like all this stuff with the economy.
Yeah.
And it could work out good, but then there's just like other stuff like BRICS, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
They're meeting in Brazil like later this summer to talk about like making the US dollar not their reserve currency.
Mm-hmm.
So who fucking knows, man?
Well, I know we're at time, but I want to read a couple of these headlines that have to do with the tariffs. And the reason I want to do that is because I think it's important to highlight how these different news sources are terribly biased and are trying to spin the stories. So let me just read some of these to round this out. This is to do with Trump and the tariffs. One of the news articles said that it read like this: Trump unsure whether people in the U.S. are entitled to due process. Right. So now we're supposed to think that.
I love that. I'm fucking down for that.
Well, we're supposed to think that what that means is Trump is going to take away our rights, our civil rights of due process.
Yes.
Well, what it actually is due process for illegals, right? It's like if you're here and you're not a citizen, are you entitled to the due process that we give to citizens?
Yeah.
But if you just read the headline, you think Trump's trying to take away our civil rights.
Yeah, I know. They're trying to make me like him.
Okay, then we did see some news stories about U.S. and China opening up talks or whatever, like the preliminary stuff about trade. And the articles are saying that the United States reached out to China. So they want you to know the spin is that it wasn't China being desperate coming to us. It was us coming to them with our hands out.
But in reality.
All right, so let's keep going. Trump. Let's see. Trump's China tariffs threatening small wedding dress shops.
Oh no.
All right, keep going. Wall Street telling clients to prepare for the worst from Trump's tariffs. Right, so we're all supposed to. This is like a different news outlets saying this stuff, but we're supposed to think small businesses are under threat. The stock market's going to collapse. Everybody's saying Trump's tariffs are terrible. So you're supposed to be thinking doom and gloom is coming as it comes to the tariffs. All right, let me give you a couple of articles from the Daily Wire.
Oh, okay.
General Motors to cut back on manufacturing at Canada plant over Trump's tariffs.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Right? More manufacturing being done here. Here's another. China feels the pain, exempts 40 billion of U.S. imports from tariffs. Right? It wasn't the United States going to China asking to start these conversations. It was China capitulating.
It was Xi Jinping crawling over with his little bowl, what's the British guy?
The bowl?
Oliver Twist.
Oh,
Oliver Twist.
Sir, can I have another?
Exactly. That's Xi Jinping's ass. Yeah. According to the Daily Wire, anyways.
So there's some spin doctoring for you. Same topic, very different opinions. But if you read the mainstream media, it's all designed.
What was the first one?
Trump's China tariffs threatening small wedding dress shops. Wall Street telling clients to prepare for the worst for Trump's tariffs.
I felt like it was before the wedding.
Trump's unsure whether people in the U.S. are entitled to due process.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there was something I was going to say about that, but it slipped the old noggin.
Point is, if you just read those headlines, you would think Trump is a monster, which most people do, or not most people, but you know, a certain chunk of the population does, and that you would think that his bullying, you know, ill-advised trade negotiations are just poised to destroy the country.
Yeah,
that's what you would think if you just read the headlines, and then you read the Daily Wire, and you get a completely different side of things.
Yeah. Speaking of the Daily Wire, did you happen to watch the Matt Walsh Tucker Carlson?
No, I wanted to, but I haven't.
Good.
I haven't watched it. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Good.
Not great. Not you know, not the best thing I've ever seen. Oh man, fuck.
What?
One of the main things that I wanted to talk about was Jordan Peterson on Rogan.
Oh,
and I'm like, dude, I'm like basically done with Jordan Peterson, man.
It's funny you say that, man, because I listened to it and I don't remember feeling any particular
I don't understand how, knowing how, like we talked about the Dave Smith, Douglas Murray thing, knowing how you like mostly felt about that, I don't understand how you cannot feel negatively about Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson basically went on Rogan and was like, we need censorship.
What did he say? I'm trying to remember.
He's like, we need guardrails. Like, you know, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Guardrails for
Jordan?
what? Were they talking about?
Like exactly what Douglas Murray was talking about on when he debated Dave. It's like only the experts are allowed to talk about things, and that's what Jordan was co-signing.
What?
It's like complete. It's like 180 degrees opposite of where you started, Jordan. It's like honestly, like I have a tendency to like really go in on an opinion, but I don't understand how I can support Jordan Peterson anymore, man.
Boy, I have to go back and re-listen because I just didn't remember hearing anything controversial. I mean, I'm always kind of multitasking when I'm listening to podcasts, so I have to go back and re-listen. But I just didn't remember anything that was glaring. Didn't seem like it was Zionistic, or didn't seem like it was anything that I would expect you to like have some resistance to.
It was all about that kind. Well, there was one particular line. We can't even really talk about it, but I will say what it was. But yeah, the whole thing just like was basically him like kind of tacitly taking Douglas Murray's side out of that whole thing.
Really?
And I don't understand that at all. It's like, if you support Israel, which Jordan clearly does, refute Dave Smith's arguments. Don't like say that he's not an expert, because that is the exact thing that like you kind of came up against, you know, like you don't have to be an expert to talk about something. Your opinions are if you're right, you're right. That's the bottom line. But there was one thing that he said. Rogan was like, I don't you know, what is it with all the like the Jew hate, you know? And Jordan Peterson said, oh, there's nothing more annoying than a successful minority.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, go fuck yourself, Jordan. Like, if you really think Jordan Peterson is smart enough to know that that is not what it's fucking about. Nobody is mad about Asian people working and doing a really good job, because Asian people don't have like 90% of fucking Congress in their pockets. But no Asian country has the influence that Israel has over the United States.
Yeah, but don't you think the point that he's making is that, like in particular in Nazi Germany, the Jews being successful in business and being wealthy and being and being weak in terms of they're living in a place that isn't their country.
Mm-hmm.
They're living among strangers, and there's small numbers of them compared to everyone else, that they become a perfect scapegoat, and they were.
They're not a perfect scapegoat because they're actually guilty of something.
But even if they weren't, they would be a perfect scapegoat. A successful minority is always a perfect scapegoat.
Okay, but that's not the situation. That's why it's like, it's like, yes, that is true. That is a situation that happens, but that is not the situation.
Yeah, I see what the point you're making.
It's like, Nobody is going to enjoy some very small minority coming in and taking over all of the industry of their country while you starve, while your mother has to fucking prostitute herself, while like truly dark and terrible things are going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I just fucked Jordan Peterson basically.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'll go back and give it another listen because I honestly didn't remember feeling any particular way listening to it.
Yeah.
But I have got to pee super bad, Kyle.
Happens.
And with that, I'll cue the music.
Adios.
Well, there you have it. That's one avenue explored, but infinitely more still to go. I hope you enjoyed thinking along with us. I know. It's not easy work. Thinking. It's hard and full of uncertainties, but I'm grateful for the company as we trek through this together. Here's to hoping that the juice is worth the squeeze. See what I did there? Let's find out together in the next episode.